desire is that you move.
Welcome back, Seer Tribe. I'm Sia, your beautiful host and spiritual guide. Today we're going to be talking about the spiritual and mental psychosis, and we're also going to be talking about narcissism and how these disorders have similarities and how they can affect one's spiritual enlightenment journey. So, what is a spiritual or mental psychosis? Well, a psychosis, by book definition, is characterized by one's disconnect from reality. Some of these disconnects and symptoms of disconnect look like delusions, hallucinations, as well as incoherent speech and behavior. Before I get to the next part, I do want to give my own personal experience of going through psychosis. With my own experience, when I went through spiritual psychosis, I did have incoherent behavior, erratic behavior. A lot of things blew my mind. I wasn't ready, which I really was, because whenever we're supposed to learn, we learn. But I was premature in a lot of things that I knew about the spiritual realm, and so that caused me to hallucinate and to think a lot of people were attacking me. Now, I understand that there are demonic attacks happening all the time throughout the day, and they use low vibrational vessels to thus enter into family members, intimate partners, or just friendships, just regular relations, and they'll jump into those low vibrational people's vessels and take over them. So that's completely possible. But what I mean when I'm speaking on spiritual psychosis is you are not able to discern demonic attacks and leave them where they're at and understand that this is just a demonic attack and it has no dominion over me, versus believing that everyone is out to get you and these demonic attacks are meant to push you down and keep you down. Now, this is where we get really, really confused in the spiritual community. Everything is happening for the higher good. Everything is happening for the greater good of you, whether it seems bad or good. In this realm, there is really no good and bad. There really is no evil and, not evil. Everything helps push you into the higher good. Why do I say this? Well, I say this from experience because I've been through a lot of things that could be deemed as demonic attacks. But these demonic attacks have further pushed me into the path that I'm supposed to be going into. Hence why I'm making this video today. Hence why I am influencing others about this mental psychosis, about narcissism, about what all of this looks like. So we have to understand and realize that this psychosis can get you stuck and you may not be able to get to the next part of your spiritual enlightenment. If you're stuck in psychosis, you're going to forever be thinking that people are against you, and this is creating a closed off energy on your aura and inside in your internal. This is preventing people that are spiritually inclined from manifesting their reality that they're supposed their purpose, from manifesting their true purpose. They're not able to do so if they're so busy watching their back and thinking it's them against everyone else. Now, I'm not gonna denote or denounce the fact that we are supposed to be individual beings healing individually inside, thus healing the collective body, the head, the arms, the legs. We are all pieces and parts of it. And in order for us to heal the body entirely, we have to work on ourselves individually and start internally. And in order to do that, you have to become open. You cannot be thinking that everyone is against you. We do understand that there are people who destiny swap. There are people who are jealous and envious. But like I said, they are at a low vibration. And so these entities and these beings are able to slip inside of their body and use them. So when you're in this journey, this spiritual enlightenment journey, you have to look at it as this vessel is being used and manipulated. And that's just what it is. It's not that the person is directly coming for you. It's literally that that person is at a vibration that is so weakened and low that they're able to be succumbed by entities and used and manipulated by them. So the best way to avoid a spiritual or mental psychosis internally within yourself would be to recognize that these are just spiritual attacks and these vessels are being manipulated and that everything is happening for the higher good of you. You'd have to shift your mind from a negative mindset into a positive mindset. And you would have to know that everything is happening to push you into your desired purpose, into the purpose that you're meant to fulfill. Now, before I move on, I wanted to speak about some more symptoms that are heavily associated with mental psychosis. Those symptoms would be unattached or disconnected foundation. So that will look like, your living situation, your beliefs system. And another one would be a disconnected point of view or a distorted point of view. Now, I'm going to start with the first one. When you have an unattached reality, say you meet a person who's not as worried about the bills, or if you meet, for me personally, I've met a lot of spiritual people who they don't want to work on making money because they don't believe in money. But let me tell you how that can get you into a psychosis. That can get you unmotivated. That can get you in a sluggish and lazy like energy. And that starts to make you think that everything should just be attracted to you. You should just be able to manifest it. I have found myself in that position to where money just disgusted me. And it was just like, ugh. And still it is. I do not care for it. But I understand that in order for me to become rooted in this reality, I have to create myself a firm foundation that cannot be distorted or disrupted. Now, a lot of people who go into spiritual psychosis, it's because that foundation is not built, it's not firm, and they're always one place to another place, and they're not ever in, just their home, in just their body. So for this instance, I'm speaking on their living situations. Most people who are spiritual or going on this enlightenment journey have experienced homelessness. And this homelessness has distorted their reality on seeing the more peaceful side of life. They're only able to see chaos or negativity. And a lot of times spiritual psychosis is founded upon negativity, upon a mindset that first started off positive, and then it slowly churned and turned into a more negative mindset because of how they decided to alchemize and use that knowledge that they was given. Another thing that is a symptom of spiritual and mental psychosis is the distorted point of view. This right here, perception is there's absolute perception. So there's a whole truth that the all-knowing God, the all-knowing Most High Mother and Father knows. So there's two sides. It's your side, the other person's side, then the Most High, the truth. The Most High sees everything. They're above you. When you get into a spiritual psychosis and your point of view gets distorted, you start to believe that every premonition and everything that comes to you is, I wouldn't say accurate, but I would say that it is the truth. It is the full perspective of everything. And it's not safe to think like that. It is not safe to become spiritually inclined and take everything as it is. Sometimes you subconsciously have things going on within you that you need to heal so that you can see the absolute truth, or at least see what the Most High, the all-knowing God, the Most High Mother and Father wants to show you. In order to do that, you would have to be able to listen and be patient. You can't just go off of your own, and I'm not going to say intuition, because listen to your intuition. But sometimes your intuition comes in distorted because of the vessel. If the vessel is not aligned, you will not be getting premonitions or intuition in clarity. And that's important to remember. So we have to work on, we have to work on becoming better at discerning and looking through your point of view. You have to kind of look through it as if it was a file, and you might have been missing a piece. You have to keep looking through the perception, the events that happen, in order to get the full truth. And it may take a lot of times, and you putting yourself in different people's shoes, for you to understand the absolute perception of everything. And that's why I said it's important not to just think that everyone is against you, because that point of view is very closed off, and you're not able to see the whole view of everything. Like, for example, you may have someone who is in a low vibration and they're not able to heal themselves. They're not able to communicate on the same level as you. They're not able to resist the jealousy and the certain entities that move through them, such as pride or whatever entities it may be. You interact with this individual, and this individual, let's say, I don't know, call the cops on you. This individual calls the cops on you. You would have to recognize that that individual is being used, right? And their mindset is not adaptive enough to know right from wrong. Now, they know right from wrong, but they're not able to resist it. They're not able to resist the wrong. It's like they're being controlled. They're literally being controlled. You understanding that how vessels and entities work, you wouldn't necessarily forgive that person, but you would write that person off as just low vibrational, and it's not saying and denoting that this person cannot ever grow from that low vibration, but you are putting them in their place. And that's really important and key when you're on an enlightenment journey. You have to put people in their places, and you have to recognize who you can trust and who you cannot trust due to vibration and frequency that they emit. So that is why it is important to practice presence. It is important to practice being in the present, due to the simple fact that if you get caught up in the things around you, in the past of you, in the future of you, you will become disconnected from reality very fast and uprooted. And that is something you don't want when you are going on this spiritual enlightenment. You want to stay rooted. You want your tree roots to grow further and further in the darkness and into the ground, because that's how you reach further up into the light. Now, some more symptoms include the inability to attract healing connections. If you are constantly accusing or resistant against connections because of the low vibrational people that have came, you start to push away a lot of people who are potentially great for you. And like I said, that it's not going to stop your journey, because everything is happening for your highest good, but it is slowing you down. And some people need to slow down, but if it's not necessary, why go through it? So another symptom would be the inability to be emotionally accessible. A lot of people who fall into mental psychosis, when they become detached, that means emotional. So a lot of times they cannot relate to feelings and emotions. They cannot feel. And that is not a good thing. I'd rather have somebody around me who can feel rather than having someone who's numb. And why do I say that? Because most narcissists, most people who do horrible things, they don't they don't feel unless it's feelings of jealousy and lower vibrational feelings. But they never feel the feelings um, that help advance a person's soul. So I'd rather be around people who feel a lot, and as an empath, I'm very empathetic. I can feel everything that's said and not said. And it's important that you attract people with the emotional intelligence who are able to feel, who are able to make you feel heard off of what you feel. That doesn't mean that they have to agree with you. We don't have, we have to realize everyone has their own mind. Everyone's not going to see the whole of everything. But as long as this person lets you know that what you're feeling is valid, they validate you, then that shows their emotional intelligence and how much they do care, how much they do feel. It's very important to watch out for the souls that lack emotion. If they lack emotion, that means that they lack resonance. If they do not resonate, that means that they're not on your vibration. So that is one way you can avoid spiritual psychosis within yourself, even not even just other people. When you feel a lack of emotion, you feel all hardened and you feel like you can't express yourself. It may be more than just the psychosis. It could be just a blockage within yourself, because not all the time if you're having that blockage of emotions doesn't mean you're in a psychosis. Well, I take that back. It does, because the definition of a psychosis is a disconnect from reality. So if your emotions are disconnected from reality, then you're technically an emotional psychosis. So that's facts. But yeah, you definitely want to monitor and maintain your own emotional availability. Now, I understand some people don't deserve your availability. Some people do. But it's very important for you to recognize when you are cutting off your feelings, when you are not addressing them, because that becomes a problem. And then you become numb. And we already have enough fucking numb people roaming this world. We do not need more numb people. We need more people who can feel and relate. Now, we're headed to the second part of this, which is narcissism. I grabbed my book out for this because I'm not going to remember all of this. But narcissism has a lot under its hood. That's why I got my notebook and wrote it down. We about to know all of this. So narcissism includes a series of manipulation, gaslighting, down-talking, lack of empathy, projection, compulsive lying, triangulation, love bombing, inflated self-view, and arrogance. A lot, isn't it? That shit is a lot. Narcissism has a big hood of variations and tactics. It's basically a playbook that narcissists use in order to reel their person in and then, attack them mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So the reason I brought narcissism up is because I wanted to show people the similarities of narcissism and spiritual psychosis and how this stuff works together and creates an even bigger monster. So, excuse me. Both disorders deal with distorted realities and form a disconnect from the true actuality of how life reflects the individual's internal affairs. So what that means is with narcissism, I notice with narcissism, that the narcissists are typically the manipulators. They are manipulating others through gaslighting, through manipulation, through love bombing, through triangulation. These people are the manipulators. I've noticed with spiritual psychosis, usually people who are in spiritual psychosis are being manipulated by entities, by, other people around them, by spiritual gurus who could be telling them information. And it could be many of things that can manipulate another soul into believing that someone's out to get them. So I noticed on one hand we got the narcissist, the manipulator. On the other hand, we have the person who's in psychosis, which is a mental disorder. They're being manipulated. What I noticed about both of these, I noticed that a person can be both of these. They can be very narcissistic, and if they're into the spirituality, or they can be in religion or whatever background they have, they can eventually become in this psychosis state and involve it with their narcissism, creating this huge monster that has a lot of problems going on. So it's possible. It can be done that you can see a narcissist in psychosis at the same time. And 9 times out of 10, narcissists are the definition of a psychosis, of a mental psychosis, because they're disconnected from their reality. They like to manipulate others and disconnect others from their own reality. Like, they like to disconnect, that might sound weird, but they like to disconnect others from their reality, thus disconnecting their own internal selves from the truth, actuality of their internal affairs. Meaning, them trying to fool other people is only fooling themselves. It's only getting them in a state where they don't know what's true and what's not. They start to believe the lies that they tell. They start to believe the manipulation that they have caused. So, the reason I wanted to point out that these have similarities is because we need to understand how the spiritual community has failed us, how gurus and guides and, a lot of people who are supposed to be advancing the collective has failed us and has fell into narcissism and spiritual psychosis. And it's in your face. If you just watch someone long enough who claims to be this guru and this leader and to know where to lead people, if you watch them long enough, you'll see the psychosis, the disconnect from reality. You'll see the things that they say and how it is so far from the truth. So I just really wanted to come and talk about this topic and get people to understand that psychosis can happen to anybody, no matter how much clout they have, no matter how smart and charming they seem. You can easily, yourself and others can easily become narcissistic as well as mentally disconnected from the world. And that all happens by beliefs. If you haven't studied things on your own and experienced things for yourself, you would automatically take what other people are telling you about the reality of the world as truth, rather than going out and going to experience some of these things on your own and be able to gather that there's truth in what people say, but there's also another side of it, which is the peaceful side that I keep mentioning, that you're able to experience as long as you keep your mind in a positive mindset and you understand that everything is happening for the greater good of me. Now, those who think that they victimize themselves, once they victimize themselves, that's when they put themselves in this low vibration, and that's when they're able to be succumbed by spiritual attacks, mental attacks, that thus closes them off. So some of the people that I see spiritual gurus have went to jail and have blamed other people for their jailing. But like I said, everything happens for a greater good. Everybody is supposed to be where they're at, and everybody's where they need to be. So when you see somebody become a victim of their spiritual journey rather than taking it as a journey, it's something that you want to kind of look at, because most people who are on this enlightenment journey and are a little bit deeper than most, they understand that victimizing themselves creates a lot of turmoil, creates a lot of danger, a lot of negative entities will attract to you off that energy, because they want you to feel victimized. They want you to feel bad for yourself. And so that's one thing that narcissists do. That's why I brought it up. A lot of narcissists feel bad for themselves, and they only think it's about them and what happened to them, right? So we have to recognize narcissism, spiritual psychosis within our community, to be able to understand that a lot of these people are not fit mentally. They have disorders, and you have to be able to recognize it within yourself. When you are having a disorder, a dysfunction within yourself, be able to clear that up and align back into reality like you're supposed to. That is why it is so important for us to be authentic at all times, to be authentic and organic. The reason this is important is because most of the time when you're not authentic, you're easily manipulated. It's easier for you to have your reality distorted when you're not being yourself. When you are trying to fit in the box of others' perception of you. When you do that, it's easier for people, narcissists and entities, to manipulate you into becoming a victim, or whatever they want you to become. The basis of all this that I want y'all to remember before I get up out of here, your girl gotta go. Before I get out of here, I want you to understand these entities, these archonic forces, they thrive off of manipulation. They thrive off of mental disorders and mental illness. And they thrive off a victim mindset. They thrive off of low vibrations. So you need to monitor and always be aware of yourself. If you're avoiding your emotions, if you're avoiding stuff, if others are making you feel a certain way, or manipulating, or gaslighting, or triangulating the cause of what happened onto you, you need to be able to discern these things so that you can remove yourself from that and put these people where they need to be. Put them in their place of where they need to be. You organize them right there, and you take yourself out the equation, because they thrive off mental illness. They thrive off of dysfunction. So we got to keep our mental tight. We got to keep our emotions tight. Love y'all, See Your Tribe. I'm See You again, y'all host. Y'all gonna see me next Sunday. Every Sunday, I'm gonna have a video for you guys, dropping around 11 a.m. Or, sometimes it may switch. It may be 3:33 p.m. But every Sunday, I will have a video for you guys. Peace, love, light, and dark. And go do something good out there.